Might be a little for early for Halloween, but you know, it's never too early to get Halloween projects done. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, July the 3rd, 2023. And this is vlog number 319. And happy Independence Day to all of the American subscribers out there. That's tomorrow, July the 4th, but I know you don't need to be told that because unlike Canada, in the United States, Independence Day is a biggie. I mean, it's a Canada Day here, which we just had, is a biggie as well. But I don't think we celebrate it on quite the scale that most Americans do. So, yeah, have a great time. Okay, let's move right into current projects. These you have seen before, but they're in another stage of development or finish, I suppose you might say. So here's my Halloween table runner. I showed it to you in pieces last week. Well, it's all sewn together, it's all bound, it's finished, and it's cute. It turned out pretty nice, I think, and I don't really need it though, so I think I'm going to offer it to my sister. She's coming here in another week's time for dinner, and I know my sister loves Halloween. She gets right into it, so this might be something she would like to have as home decor for the Halloween season. A little early right now, I know, but you know, can you ever be too early for making these kind of things? I've actually got to start thinking about doing some Christmas projects, and yeah, Christmas in July kind of a thing. So got to get on with that. Also need to finish this. This is the top. This is that quilt that came from Quilts of Valor at the stand they had at the Canadian Quilt Show. And I really love the pattern, I love the pattern, and I love the panel that this is with. And I did check out, as I said on Idiot Quilter, to make sure this was not by the designer from hell, and it was not. It went together pretty easily. So now it's waiting to be quilted. And I'll show you that when that gets finished then. Okay, so that takes me to the video of the week, a YouTube video of the week. I'm started now to running out of channels to review. So what I'm looking at are things I watch on a pretty regular basis, but when a particular video segment comes up that I think is of great interest, I'm going to highlight those. And the one I'm going to highlight today is actually, though not a clip, it is a site. It's called Iceland with a View. This week's YouTube channel is called Iceland with a View, and if you're interested in traveling or you're interested in videos about different places in the world, then you might enjoy this one. Iceland is someplace that sounds very exotic to most of us, but we probably know very little about it. So on Iceland with a View, Jeannie, the lady who hosts this show, talks all about her life in Iceland. Now, she says in here that they traveled to Iceland when she first got married for their honeymoon in 2014, and then they decided to move there more permanently. And she's been doing a series of videos about life in Iceland, and I find it absolutely fascinating. Iceland is someplace where Walter and I have toyed with going over the years, but we've never got around to it. Maybe we will at some point in time, but in the meantime, we can check out everything you need to know about Iceland through these videos. So if we take a look at her playlist, she talks about what to pack for Iceland, hiking in Iceland, monthly planning tips, the culture, excursions, holidays, hot springs, travel guide, etc. Everything you ever wanted to know about Iceland. And it looks like she has quite a few videos. Well, she has 247 to be exact, and a fairly high following too. So the videos I've watched so far, they're very professionally done, very informative. She has a very pleasant narrative approach to these. So I think if you're interested in Iceland or just in travel in general, I think
Hey,
Iceland,
I'm Jeannie.
let's just shut her up there for a minute. Iceland with a View is for you. So, if you're interested in travel videos about different parts of the world, you might want to check out this one called Iceland with a View because, well, Iceland's one of those places that I consider somewhat exotic, and I don't know if I'll ever get there. I have mixed mind about that. I know there are cruises that go up from United Kingdom up to Iceland. That might be a possibility because unless you're basically into a lot of nature and hiking and stuff like that, um, Iceland might be a little boring for us city dwellers or city people. I don't know, which I consider myself kind of a city boy. So yeah, but maybe someday I'll get there. Okay, so that link is in the show notes below, and there also is a link for our weekly So with Stephanie and Stephen, Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. So you know the drill. And just advanced notice, I am having what I call Stephen's Birthday Bash Pop-Up So Day on July the 5th, Saturday, July the 5th. So that's not this coming Saturday, it's a week from this coming Saturday. And it'll start at 8 a.m. and run until 5 p.m. approximately, but you can come and go as you please. Now, there's been a little confusion about this because this has been talked about. Stephanie put out a thing on her Facebook about it, Stephanie Stitches, and a few other content creators like Sean, the guy who sews, and Russ, Quilt Meets World, and that kind of thing. And I think Shannon on Slay Arts has been talking about it too. And I think it might be coming across like it's like a retreat. It is not. You do not have to pre-register for this. There is plenty of room. Okay. Some people have been sending me emails because they think they had to pre-register for it or want to reserve a spot. You do not need to do that. Now, if you're on my mailing list, you will get an email in about another week's time, not next week, probably a week from today, Monday, which will basically have this link in it for you. However, if you're not on my mailing list and you don't want to be on my mailing list, and I don't know why you don't want to be on my mailing list, it's not like I send out an email every day. I don't. Uh, but if you want to be on it, okay, my email address is in the show notes below. Just drop me a line telling me you want to be on the mailing list, and you will be on the mailing list. So yeah, that's that. Just while I'm talking about it, Walter's been bugging me about this to do, and I always forget to do it. And to be honest, I don't like doing this. But if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. Okay? You hear content creators say that all the time. I have a goal this year. I don't think I'm going to make it. I would like to have by the end, by New Year's Day 2024, I would like to have 10,000 subscribers. I'm getting there, but it's one subscriber at a time. Why do I want to do that? Egotistical reasons. I mean, they love me. They really, really love me. I feel like Sally Fields. No, to be honest, it does. When you hit the 10,000 mark, I have been told, suddenly the algorithms in YouTube push you closer to the top as recommendations. So people who have never heard of me but might be interested in my content, they might find it in their feed or something like that. So it helps if I have the subscribers. It also helps when you make comments. I do try to answer back in the comments. If it's something, if you ask me a direct question, I try to answer it. If it's just to say, hi, loved your last video or something like that, I really appreciate those kind of comments. I usually give it a heart or something like that. I don't necessarily write a lot. But what I am doing lately on Stephen and Walter Live and on So Chatty is I take interesting comments from the week and compile them into a list, and I present them on my channel. So especially on So Chatty and Stephen and Walter Live, because there's a lot of good discussion points. There's a lot of good information I find in what subscribers often write as a comment. Of course, you get the bad ones too, but that's okay. I have to say, generally speaking, most people are very kind, and I really appreciate that. but I am open to constructive criticism as well. And I've gotten some really great ideas from people who have made some constructive comments. So, don't let that hold you back. Just don't be nasty. All right. But if you're one of the people that watches on a regular basis and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your animals, whatever. Okay, enough about that. I don't like doing that. Okay, so you will also find, speaking of YouTube channels, I have started to include in my show notes some of my friends' YouTube channels as well. And if you've never heard of these people, like Stephanie Stitches, Sean of The Guy Who Sews, Adam of Adam Sews, Russ of Quilt Meets World, and Shannon of Slay Arts, then you need to check out their YouTube channels because they're excellent. And they're all listed. The link is right in the show notes. Just click on it and away you go. And of course, there's a link, I think I already said, to the Iceland with a View. And that takes me to looking out my window this morning. And here's what the weather's looking like. So on July the 3rd, 2023, it's wet. Now, do we need the rain? Well, yes, there are a lot of parts of Canada that need the rain. In fact, there's a lot of parts of Canada that probably need it more than we do, but we've got it. Can't do anything about it. It's helping our garden grow, our container garden, and it makes the grass grow, which means Walter has to cut the grass more regularly. But it looks really nice. It's a dull day today. I don't know. I haven't checked the forecast to see if it's going to clear up or if it's going to rain all day. But either way, it's nature. So what can I say? Okay, so that takes me to what's pissed me off this week. Well, I'm going to show you some pictures and talk about it a little bit more. But Walter had a car accident on Monday. If you're a regular subscriber here and you've been following my videos in the past week, you've heard all about it. So I don't want to sound like a broken record. So needless to say, 1, Walter's okay. 2, his car is totaled. He was hit by an old lady who decided she needed to get across 4 lanes of traffic and T-boned him. And yeah, she basically, her excuse was, and it wasn't an excuse, she confessed right up. She said, I couldn't see beyond this other car, that I was behind, so I pulled out around beside him, and I still couldn't see the traffic that was coming, so I just thought I'd just floor it and see what happens. Okay, well, we know what happened. She plowed right into the side of Walter. Now, if she had been going any faster than whatever the speed was that she was plowing it at, Walter could have been seriously hurt. She could have been seriously hurt. There could have been other people seriously hurt because this is, I said, a very, very busy roadway. But thank goodness, everybody's okay. Cars can be replaced. People cannot. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the replacement of the car in a bit. But right now, what I wanted to talk about is, should old people be allowed to drive? Now, here in our province, I believe you have to take a test to maintain your license if you are 80 plus. It seemed this lady had just had the test and passed. So it makes me question, what kind of test is it? Now, some people have told me basically they ask you a couple of questions and they check your eyes. And that's it. They don't get in a car with you or anything. Okay, that is a weakness in our system. And I have mixed feelings about people at that age driving. I have met many people that are up there in years, in their 80s, even 90s, who are going concerns. There's not a thing wrong with them mentally. They may have some aches and pains, but they are very capable of driving a car. Probably more capable of driving a car than I am, because I will admit I am a paranoid and nervous driver. Always have been. This is why, and I joke about it, but this is why if we're going anywhere, Walter is the principal driver. I call it driving Miss Daisy, okay? But that's my reason for it. And if I have other people in the car when I'm driving, I get even more nervous. Always have been that way. So, quite frankly, I do not enjoy driving. If someone else is going to drive me somewhere, I'm very happy about that and very appreciative. But back to the old people. I'm getting up there in age. I'm going to be 66. Hard to believe. Moisturizer. Never too young to moisturize. Anyways, yeah, it's just, where the year's gone kind of a thing. But I can still drive, and I do when I have to. Um, but, you get up to 80, who knows what condition I'm going to be in if I make it to 80. Um, I would like to think or hope that I will be of sound mind and, I'm doing fine. But there is a chance, and a good chance, that that might not be the case. And I think that's for a lot of people. So, yeah, but to turn around and just say anybody over the age of 80 automatically can no longer drive, well, that's not really fair, is it? Because it should be on an individual basis. And that is why I guess they have this test. However, this lady that hit Walter definitely had another issue mentally. I don't know what it is. Maybe she had the beginnings of dementia. Maybe there was something else. We don't know. But she didn't really talk like she was, to put it gently, all there when we were speaking with her. Now, yes, part of it could have been residue shock from the accident. And, because Walter was a little shook up, to say the least, too. So, yes, that could be playing into that. But I think there was deeper issues. Also, when you get older, you're on a mixture of medications. Your body is filled with chemicals. And, those chemicals can have an effect on our brains and our reaction times as well. So, there's that to consider as well. However, for a lot of people, if you took away their driver's license, you're taking away an element of their independence. Some people live alone. The only way they can get out to get their groceries or whatever they need to do is to use a car. An old person on a bus, a city bus, let's face it, at least in our area, the transit system sucks. Okay? They don't do much to accommodate older people. Yes, they've got ramps, they've got, ways to get on the bus if you have a cane. If you're in a wheelchair, you have to have phone a special transportation service. So you're on somebody else's schedule. It really eats into your independence and your sense of self-worth. Nothing makes a person feel old and decrepit than taking away things that help them be independent. Okay? So, yeah. And I don't want my independence taken from me either if I get to that stage. However, we have to be realistic too. I know of some people who have voluntarily decided that because of their health, their eyesight, whatever, that even though they could probably pass the driver's test and some of them are under 80 years old, have decided to voluntarily give up their license because they don't want to harm themselves and they don't want to harm others. And I think that's very responsible. Cars and traffic in this day and age are extremely complicated. The streets are congested. There's so much going on. Cars have every buzzer and bell in them now going off. You're too close to the line. You're not close enough to the line. You're too close to the car in front of you. You should go now through. Like, the cars are telling you things to do. And that's just sensory overload, isn't it? And that's enough to confuse anybody who might be a little bit nervous about driving or is already a little confused or foggy. So, yeah. I think the solution to this is, sure, leave the age at 80 for testing them, but test them. Don't just ask them a couple of questions and check their eyes. Someone needs to be in a car with them and test their basic driving skills. Not stuff on paper, because it's a different situation. I'm sure many people have no problem answering the questions that are asked, and their eyesight is probably okay. However, it's a different environment when you're inside a moving vehicle. That is playing on other elements of your brain and your reaction times and things like that. So I really think they need to do a better job of this because, well, what would be really sad out of this? Let's go back to Walter's accident, shall we? What if Walter had been seriously injured, or that lady that hit him had been seriously injured? Or what if she had taken out some pedestrians because it's a bad corner for pedestrians as well? What if she had hit another car or a couple of cars and caused a whole big accident? One simple decision that she made, which was not a sound decision. I can't see, so the best policy here is just to gun it and take my chances. That is not a rational thought. But that's how she did it. And that's what she told the cop. So, yeah, I think we need to get on to our government and the governing bodies that look after driver's licenses and all that kind of stuff need to step up here for public safety's sake and really make this test count. Okay, so let's take a look at, I haven't bought really any new products this week. I did though get an order from Temu, and it was just more sewing clips, those Wonder Clip-like things. I love them. I bought a whole pile of them, and it was ridiculously cheap. Ridiculously cheap. I think I paid $3.98 for a package of 30 of these clips. A package of 10 of those clips is a lot more than that if you buy it at your local quilt store or at a big box store or wherever. They are not original Wonder Clips from Clover, but it just shows you how much of a markup there is on something like that. There's not a thing wrong with them. I've got them in 2 sizes. Absolutely love them. So far to date, anything I've bought from Temu, I have not been disappointed in. Their delivery time, yes, it takes longer than Amazon, but not that much longer. And they tell you, if you don't receive it by such and such a date, they're going to give you a $5 credit. And I've heard from other people that have had that and they've gotten the $5 credit. Somebody received a Temu order the other day. They said they ordered some rulers. One of the rulers came cracked. They contacted Temu. They replaced it or gave her money back. And she didn't have to send the cracked ruler in to prove anything. So, say what you will about Temu, but I suggest you try it. Now, does that mean that everything is absolutely great and wonderful from them? No. But is everything ever great and wonderful that you get from Amazon? No. So, yeah. So I'm going to kind of peruse more things on Temu and see, I might buy a few other little items on there that grab my fancy with it. So, yeah. So I'm very happy so far with what I have bought from Temu. Mind you, I have not bought anything major. I mean, I bought clips. And I bought some fabric. Don't buy the fabric. And I bought some lights. And I haven't even used those yet. But so far, I'm thrilled. I think it's great. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm not affiliated with Temu at all. So I'm just giving you my honest opinion from my experience so far. Stay tuned. All right. That takes me to the grow lights. Okay, things are getting a little ratty here. We got to do a bit of a cleanup. Walter's the gardener, as you know, but he's had a horrendous week. So, with the car accident and getting his new shed and things like that. We'll talk about the new shed in a moment. So, yeah, things are getting a little ratty, but we have plans. So this is grow light number 1, the original one. We still have a little bit of lettuce in there. Need to eat that up. We've got lots of basil, as you can see, over on the left-hand side. And the little green plants over on the right-hand side, far right-hand, those are pepper plants. Yes, we started some more pepper plants. I don't know if Walter's going to put those outside or leave them under the lights because we're not having too bad a luck with growing the peppers under the lights. Okay, here's grow light number 2. Now it is ratty. The lettuce in this is getting I need to go through, prune it back, take out the leaves we can eat. And those brown things that are all dried up there, well, those were an experiment that went terribly wrong. Those were green onions, spring onions, whatever you call them. Too much water. Too much water, they killed, they died. Walter planted though some more in one of the containers outside. So I think we're gonna clean this stuff all out and start some other things. My thoughts are, let's get. I'd like to do one set of grow lights that are nothing but lettuce, and that might be this set. In the other one, we'll do herbs and maybe use do some starters like for green peppers, maybe from some more tomato plants. We'll see. I don't know. Walter will probably veto my ideas on this because he's the chief gardener. Here are what we have left indoors of our pepper plants. I think all the tomato plants have been transplanted outside. They had a little bit of a setback, of course. It was a shock for them to go from indoors, outdoors, going, oh my God, sun, real sun. But they seem to be perking up and doing not too badly. We put some of the other peppers out there as well, and they're doing okay. But these are the ones we have indoors, and I think we're just going to leave those. And I think it's time to start harvesting some of these because they've gone from green to now yellow, which is kind of nice. And there were, I don't know if I have any more. There might be some off camera of the red peppers because we got some went to red peppers as well. So yeah, we continue to experiment with our garden. And here's, now it's raining today when I took this picture, but here is some of our things growing out on the deck. This little pot down here, this little blue pot, that's the green onions growing in there. I'm not sure what he's got in this pot over here. He's been planting things left and right. We're a little late for the season, although mind you, the weather's been weird. You know, really hot, coolish, very wet, whatever. This is one of the pepper plants, though, that Walter transplanted from indoors, and it's doing fine. It might be time to harvest those too. I don't know if we're going to get any more on this plant or not. We'll see. This is a tomato plant, which is going nuts. Another tomato plant. These are chives. They just come up every year. They have a nice pretty little purple flower on them, and they're self-seeding. So, you know, how many chives do we use? We don't. A lot. Actually, the greens. Chives kind of taste like this, like green onions, like the part of the green onion. So, you know, they're a great substitution for green onions. And I keep forgetting about that, and I need to keep that in mind. This is another tomato plant. So the tomato plants, although they're looking a little on the wild side, are adapting. And there's another one over here. He's got some more things he wants to put in. I'd like to try some spinach. We put a little bit of spinach in the grow light indoors, and it did come up, but I don't know if we should have planted it earlier because I think it takes a long time. So I did cut some of that off and put it in a salad. It was fine, but we didn't have very much of it. I'd like to see if we could get a little bit more going. So yeah, that's our gardening. All right, so that takes me to the 3D corner. I've got really nothing to show for you, and if you listen very carefully, there's no sound of 3D printers running, and there hasn't been for a few days. I've got everything that I need pretty much as far as my gnome gifts that I've been making. I've got those done, and to be honest, I'm a little tired of these projects because I've been doing them for quite a few months. And I've got quite a collection. You know, now they're designated, as I said, for gifts and things for later in the year. However, now I need something new to print. So I think I'll start scouring the Thingiverse out there, which basically is where I get a lot of my models, as they're called, and see what's new. Or what I might give me some ideas of something else that I can make. But for now, the 3D printers are silent. So we have to get back on to that. Okay, so takes me to Blast from the Past trips. This is the part 2 of our first look at Sydney in December of 2016.
These are some of the trees here in the botanical gardens, and well, I guess they're sort of representative of what you might find in a rainforest. They're very unusual looking configurations. The trunks on them are all, well, this one, for example, is huge. But the tangled, I don't know what kind of trees they are. But they're very, very interesting to look at, that's for sure. This is another interesting looking tree. And this, as part of the gardens, is called the Sydney Fernery. I wonder where it gets its name from, you think? Some more shots of the city on our way to the art gallery. And the art gallery is right up here. So this is inside the art gallery, and this is 19th century Australian art. Yeah, Canadians 11. This is referred to as the domain. It seems to run through the city, sort of a green belt of some sort that's connected to the parks. So there's like sidewalk and bicycling paths and things like that. And this is Hyde Park. Is it Hyde Park or Hyde Park?
Hyde.
Hyde Park.
I think definitely Hyde.
Oh, okay. It's Hyde Park. All in the center of the city. Okay, so here we are having lunch at Grilled Healthy Burgers. We've got our beer. little different place. You look at the menu, then you go and stand up in the line at the front. You order and give them your table number, and then they took your money there. And Walter had trouble ordering because she spoke so fast and couldn't get through the accent.
And she had the lingo, like all those short forms.
Oh, she was using all the Aussie expressions. Well, guess we should have maybe got that sheet that they gave on the cruise ship with Aussie 101. Anyways, it's very neat kind of place, very active. And here we are in the heart of the gay district, Oxford Street. Looks like there's a lot of little trendy places, bars, some restaurants and things. A little bit seedy looking, although we did see a couple of restaurants on the way up that didn't look too bad at all. So we may come back up here later on and look around at things.
And that takes me to events in the past week. Okay, already talked about Walter's accident, and if you've watched the other videos this week, it has been the topic. We've probably over-talked it and all that. Again, people have sent us comments and notes hoping Walter's okay, and, you know, telling us that they're thinking about him and everything like that, and very much appreciate it. That was really nice. You know, the one thing about this community that I am part of, that Walter and I are part of, is that most people are very kind and thoughtful. And yes, he appreciates it, I appreciate it, and thank you very much. Now, I thought I'd show you, though, kind of the picture of what his car looked like. Yeah, okay, I shouldn't laugh. Okay, that was pretty much just right after the accident. Walter was able to get his car over to the far side of the road, and the white car behind it is the car, and I think when this picture was taken she was still in the car, and that's the old lady's car that hit Walter. Now it looks like she hit him from behind. She did not. She T-boned him across the intersection. You can see the traffic light in the distance there. She was coming across that. Walter was coming straight up in the direction his car is pointed now, and she T-boned him, and she hit him right there, right in the driver's side door. The airbags went off. Walter said it felt like a fluffy hug, which is good to know. Airbags, if you had any doubt about airbags, airbags are a good thing. And then her car just proceeded, because he was in motion, just dragged all the way down, and you can't see it, but his back bumper was ripped off as well. The front wheel on the driver's side is, this picture doesn't show it very well, but of course the tire's flat, but the rim is bent, the wheel's bent at the axle, kind of a thing, and you can see that the hood and everything is coming apart at the top, which suggests that there's been major damage done to the frame of the car, possibly to the engine. The tow truck driver said, yeah, this is a write-off, that is not going to be fixed. And here's when it was on the tow truck to be taken away. Another shot of that. So, yeah. So, what are we doing for a car? Well, we're dealing with insurance right now, and you know what that's like. They love to take your money. They don't love to give you anything. They have to assess the damage. Walter's afraid they're going to say, oh, that can be repaired. We'll cover the repairs. I said to him, I don't think so. The guy in the tow truck, he knows. He's seen things like this before, and worse, I'm sure. His assessment's probably very valid. I mean, I can't see. Even if they were to fix that, it would take forever, and the car is never going to be the same again. You know, after a major accident, they never, ever drive again the way they were. So it's junked. So we're waiting to hear what the insurance company is going to offer us. Lots of people have given us a lot of advice on this, saying you need to negotiate with them. You don't take their first offer. Walter is very astute when it comes to these kind of things. When I first met Walter, he was in the insurance business. Not car insurance, but he was in the insurance business. So he kind of knows, although that was many, many, many years ago. He kind of knows, though, what to expect. And he has done his homework on value, trade-in values of his car, all this kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll try to get as much out of them as we can. In the meantime, Walter has a rental car. He hates it. It is a shitbox of a car. It smells inside really weird, he says. I have yet to be in it. And the insurance company is paying for it. Basically, Walter had little choice in what car he was going to get. He got an Outlander by Mitsubishi. He says it is just cheap and horrible. But anyways, it serves the purpose. I think it has to go back on July the 8th, so that's next Saturday. The insurance company told him that once they had done the assessment and everything and told him, what the settlement's going to be, once he has accepted that settlement, then he can have the rental card for 2 more days after that before, if we keep it any longer, they'll charge us. So, yeah. In the meantime, Walter went looking for cars. Now, he's been talking about buying a new car for a while. This was not how he wanted to do it, and he didn't want to do it right this moment. Walter's a planner for things like that, especially it's a big ticket item. Cars are not cheap, as we all well know. And he did have his eyes set on, he was thinking of a Toyota. We've driven Hondas for years, and for the most part, they have been fine. Our local Honda dealership, though, their service sucks, but that's a story for another day. But he was looking at Toyota's RAV4s. He kind of would have liked one of those, but he did find out that in order to get a RAV4, a new one, and before you say it, well, why not buy used? We don't buy used cars. I was taught as a little kid by my father, never buy a used car, you're buying somebody else's trouble. And I have always gone by that, and so has Walter. I know some of you out there, though, always buy used cars and you have great luck with it. And I suppose if you've got a mechanic in the family, that might be, a good decision. But we don't, and so we're not. But anyways, he was told it would take a year and a half, 2 years to get a brand new RAV4, what he's looking at. We can't wait that long. So he went back to Honda, and he did. He's put a down payment down on, or a deposit on, 2023 CRV Hybrid. It's a top-of-the-line car. It's a lot of money. Why did he buy that? Well, in Walter's words, it'll probably be the last car he'll ever own. I hope not. And what the hell? He'd always wanted a car top of the line. He's never bought one that's top of the line. This car has everything on it. He's been describing it to me. It basically could almost drive itself. It's got all kinds of buzzers and bells and things like that in it. Now we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. We can. That's it. Yeah, it's a bit of an unexpected expense, and we're not made of money, but we'll make it work. And that's fine. And I know he's excited about getting it. It's supposed to get it in about less than 2 weeks or something. And he could have got one right off the lot when he was there if he had chosen a color that they had on the lot, but he liked the blue and he decided to get the blue. And that has to come from somewhere and whatever. So that's fine. It also, at this point in time, we're waiting for the insurance to at least tell us what we're going to get from them, finalize that, so we can start, looking at various combinations of how we're going to finance this new vehicle. So, yeah, there's that. It's a worry. But what I've said to Walter too, in 10 years' time, it doesn't matter. I say that to myself all the time. 10 years' time, it'll be, you remember when? So, yeah. So anyways, and it's exciting to get a new car. Be driving Miss Daisy in style. Okay, so the other thing that Walter got is, see, all these things too. This is what's compounding it. You have planned expenses and then suddenly you have an unplanned expense, and that throws your whole budget and everything else you're doing all out of whack, because Walter already made the plunge to buy his little he shed. He's wanted a shed for the backyard for a long, long time. And he didn't want one of those cheapo Home Depot plastic boxes, that kind of thing. He wanted something that was substantial. And because he's got a lot of stuff in the garage, he wants to, that doesn't need to be in the garage because we don't use it that often, but you can't get rid of it because you actually may use it at times. So get it out of the garage so that the garage can have more room for more storage. Basically, we don't use it for our cars. Well, my car sits in there, but his doesn't. And it's a 2-car garage. However, you can only get one car in there. You could get a second car in if it was a Mini Cooper or a Le Car or something like that, because there's a bump out in there. And yeah, these are the things they don't tell you about when you buy a new house, kind of a thing. Well, we haven't bought a new, this 28 years ago. They make it sound like you can get 2 cars in there. They just don't say what size. But anyways, I'm digressing as I often do. So he got this shed. Now this shed was built. Walter did not build it. The company he bought it from is a local guy, sort of a mom and pop thing, but he's been in the business for years. It's called Steve's Shed. A little story about that in a minute. And Walter had arranged for this before we went out to the East Coast, and they came on the day they said they were going to come. They built the basic structure, and then the next day they came and put all the vinyl siding on it and the whole bit. And it is cute. It is cute. Now, on the front of it, Walter wants to build sort of a skirt, around underneath to keep the skunkies out, because we do have skunks around, and skunks looking, this will be nice to harbor down under. No guarantee they won't dig under, because skunks are diggers, under whatever skirt he puts there, but it might be more of a deterrent, we hope, and from other vermin that hang about there. So he also has arranged to have a ramp built. So right now you can see how high up off the ground it is. Makes it a little awkward when you've got things like snowblower or lawnmower or something you want to put in there. So he spoke to one of the guys that built the shed and said, it's way he could have a ramp put on this. And the guy said, well, he does those. He sort of does it on the side, but he wouldn't be able to get around to it until probably August, because right now they're busy every day building these things for other people. And Walter said, well, that would be fine. And I think the guy's going to charge him about $300 for it. So, like Walter says, he could probably build his own, but these guys know what they're doing. They do it all the time, so they can put one up in no time at all and do it right. And, for Walter, it might be like a 1-week project kind of a thing. So, I said to him, $300 does not sound unreasonable, considering you spent $7,500 on the shed. And you're going to go, whoa, $7,500, what is it, a guest house? No, although I make jokes about it, that this is our new guest house. Nope, it's not. Now, here's another shot of it. I mean, it looks nice. And when Walter gets a skirt around the bottom of it too, that'll help as well. And I even suggested to him he might want to, at some point after the ramp goes in, maybe possibly dig out some of this grass that's here and put down gravel or patio stones or something and make like a little walkway to it. You can't see it here, but just behind the shed, our fence has a gate in it that goes up to between the 2 houses, kind of a thing. And so that's the access point basically to this shed. He just went out yesterday and he bought a lock for it, so that's good. Squirrels, I don't think, can pick locks. Oh yes, the animals were looking at this and had their own plans. When the guys were putting up the shed, there's Walter standing outside of his new little house, his he shed. The turkeys, the wild turkeys, all came up and were watching, going, "Ooh, this would make a nice little winter home for us." Yeah, no. And the birds were hanging about too, thinking, this might be a nice place to nest because, it's nice and dry in there. Here's what it kind of looks like inside. It's 12 by 8, I think, is the size, so it's not a bad size. Of course, once you start getting stuff in it, it's going to look a little smaller. But anyways, Walter's very pleased with his little house. And now I said about Steve's Shed, that this is the name of the company, Steve's Sheds. And the guy put a sign up on our front lawn, like they do when they reshingle or whatever for advertising. And the next door neighbor saw this sign, and then Walter was showing him the shed. And yes, Walter was sort of rubbing it in because his shed's bigger than their shed. And the guy thought, he says, I think he was joking. He says, "Oh, saw the sign." He says, "Thought Walter had built me a new house." Steve shed. Yeah, or he's putting me out in the shed. Well, only in a body bag. Anyways, so yeah, so we have that. Okay, come back to me. All right, so that's been excitement this week. Some of it kind of pleasant, the shed, some of it not so pleasant, the car accident. So we'll keep you informed on how things go with, the new car and all that stuff. I was I was the special guest of Sean on The Guy Who Sews on Saturday at his live that he has every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. If you've never checked it out, you should. He always has some very interesting people on there. And I'm very pleased to have been asked to be on his show. And so he wanted a Canadian for Canada Day because it was July the 1st. And I think I'm the only Canadian he knows. So we had a really great time. I really love being on the show with Sean. Sean's one of my favorite people on YouTube. So please, if you have not checked out his YouTube channel, please do. It's The Guy Who Sews. And there's a link for it in the show notes. And coming up, well, another friend of mine who we've never met in person, but we have met various times on Zoom. We both belong to several of the same groups as well. She has decided to come out to Ontario, and actually right now she's touring the East Coast with a friend, and she's going to drop in here next Sunday for dinner on their way back from the East Coast. And that's going to be fun. Now, I'm not sure what time she's going to get here, so there is a possibility that she may be making an appearance on Stephen and Walter Live. So we'll see how that all works out. And if you're wondering who I'm talking about, for those of you that are regulars and come to, my pop-up sew days and things like that, you have met her many times before, and it's Dana from Regina. So yeah, so we're looking forward to that little visit coming up soon. Okay, so this is a long one today, I think. So I'm going to cut it off. Things to do. I'm sure you have lots of things to do. If you're enjoying in the States the long weekend, however that works out for you for July the 4th, I hope you're having a great time. I hope the weather's cooperating with your plans as well. And yeah, have a great week, everybody, wherever you are. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.